Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is in Rajouri to review the security situation. He met the soldiers, addressed the soldiers, and told them that you are part of the family. And he feels the pain of when soldiers have died. And he said it was a major attack on Thursday in which four soldiers were killed and three others were injured after militants ambushed two army vehicles in Deraki Gully and Bafliaz area of Poonch district. So, is Pirpanjal becoming India's biggest security challenge? And it's not just yesterday's attack or attacks after April this year. And in 7 months, 20 soldiers have been killed. Among them are officers and also 9 special forces commandos as well. So why it is happening? Why Pirpanjal has become hotbed of militancy? I am joined by Sayyid Ahfadul Mujtaba, former Inspector General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, and who has also served as SSP of Rajouri during the heydays of militancy, but his tenure ensured the end of militancy in the region. After he left that district and it was free from militancy, and then we see again after more than 18 years, we see resurgence of militancy. Mujtaba Saab, what special you have done that time to
Well,
end militancy?
good afternoon. Thank you for having me in this program. Uh, in fact, there is a concept of absolute policing and comprehensive policing. Normally, what happens is that the absolute policing means that when somebody has done something wrong, and then you take him to task and you register a case and send him for the trial or the prosecution. Comprehensive policing would mean that you have to take into account the whole society and then do strategize your policing accordingly. The problem with such a situation, particularly the Rajouri area, is that initially it is very near. Initially, what happens is that the people who come and do all such things are invisible because the LOC is very nearby, and the people they infiltrate, and after that there is a question of invisibility that happens everywhere. Whenever there is a militancy or terrorism, the person who do it they remain invisible. Their visibility is only
Okay,
possible when you have a communication with the general public. So what
okay,
we did during that time is that there was more of interaction with the people. Mostly the people may not be inclined to be in favor of harboring them, but under duress, sometimes this thing happens.
नहीं वो तो
In
ज़्यादा
that particular
जनरली
case,
जो
in
है
one of the
फर्स्ट
militants
में
was
कोई वो है
smart enough that he would
एप्लीकेंट
keep
वीज़ा
his weapon and his ammunition at various places, so people would not report about him that somebody is around. But when we came to know about this thing, then we told them that there is nothing to fear about that, and they won't be punished or arrested for all such little bit of deviations. And by the information started coming, and then there were people who came and who were very much part of the security setup. What happens is that how the things are, they basically you are there to enforce the law, and when
okay,
you enforce the law, basically the premise is that majority of the people are law abiding and they will help you. But
okay,
but there are situations when the people, they either the silent majority goes very silent, or they tend to go to the other side because of fear and other factors. So that is
okay.
something which was done during that time, and we called it comprehensive policing rather than the absolute policing. The
Okay,
basic thing is,
mhm.
yes, please.
So I, since we know, because you were tenure there, and I know there was SM Sai was the DIG there. It was a time when you joined. Militants would even search. They had put the checkposts. They would search the passenger buses. There have been series of attacks, and finally, with the help of army, massive operation, militancy was ended. And for 18 years, Till 2021, this area remained peaceful. What, according to you, went so horribly wrong that this area has become now a hub or a hotbed of militancy? For the last 3 years, we have seen some of the major sensational attacks. And what is big worry? In most of the attacks, militants managed to escape after carrying out big attacks on army.
Uh, the officers who are posted there, they are doing a very good job. But I feel that there is lesser communication between the security forces and the general public also. And the kind of tactics which are being employed by militants, we are not able to comprehend that what kind of operation and what kind of tactics they are following, because they would definitely go for the tactics, and the people who are dealing with the situation, they have to look on the broader picture of it, the strategy of it. So I think there is some problem with this strategy, and we are not able to strategize. Let me tell you one thing here,
One
because their
important thing,
job.
Mujtaba Saab, today, Defense Minister, when he addressed the soldiers, he talked about the sacrifice of the soldiers, valor of soldiers, and defeating terrorism. He said the Thursday's attack was a big attack. It cannot be taken for granted. Militancy will be finished. But at the same time, he told soldiers, army, during his address, that you fight militancy, you are guarding country, but your bigger responsibility is also protecting civilians as well. And he said, fight militancy, but don't hurt any countrymen. And it is your responsibility. So there was a clear message from the top leadership of the country who goes to ground zero and sends this message, what you exactly are saying.
Actually, what happens is that when you are dealing with the security, internal security in the hinterland, the focus has to be more towards the population rather than the territory. Because if you are protecting the territory, then it is okay that you lay more focus on the territory. And the job of the police and the synergy with the army, it works there because the police people, they are trained to deal with the population, to protect them, to listen to them, and to redress their other grievances. And there has to be a synergy that there is a territory also, and there is population also, and the focus has to be more towards the population rather than the territory. So that is why what we did during that time, which we call the comprehensive policing, is कि फोकस हमारा जो है वो ज्यादातर पॉपुलेशन की तरफ रहा। वो ये बिल्कुल उससे मुख्तलिफ है कि हमारे नेबरिंग कंट्री में जनरल चिश्ती कहते थे कि जी कि आर्मी इज सपोज टू बी द ओनर ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन आल्सो, व्हाट विल हैपन, so we have to deal with the population also and to keep them under control, which is totally the opposite of what we are doing here. Basically, all these territories, we are supposed to protect them also, but our prime duty is to communicate with the local population, protect them, listen to them, and the information in most of the cases comes through them. The technical information is there, but basically during that time, in 2003, our technological intelligence was not upgraded to that level. Most of it used
Okay,
to be the human int. Human int. I
okay.
think
So
the human int is the basic thing, and the human int is only possible if you are very good with the local population there.
so true. And at the core of any counter insurgency policy is always the people. And Mujtaba Sahab, because if we see, as it was after Galwan incident in eastern Ladakh, a big chunk of the army was moved from the Pirpanjal region, Poonch and Rajouri to Ladakh. And don't you think that has also created a gap? And Pakistan saw it as an opportunity to push in more militants. But army has said that these are battle-hardened militants, trained, they're equipped, and most likely they are even getting the weapons which Americans left in Afghanistan and making their way to Jammu and Kashmir. Because in the recent attack, the weapons used by militants was M4 rifles, and also they decamped with the rifles of the fallen soldiers as well. So what were the actual, besides if there's a gap in communication, which defense minister clearly said you reach out to the people, and army was actually doing it as part of the Sadbhavna operation. What went wrong? Because after 2020, so this area has become a hotbed.
Maybe this thing is correct that there has been thinning of troops in this area, because when I was posted there, there were so many divisions which were protecting the LOC. But at that time,
Mhm.
the LOC was not fenced. That was a
Okay,
disadvantage. And because of that, you had to put more men. But
okay.
at the same time, I will reiterate the fact that the more you
Mhm.
communicate with the people, because all these fences and other things, they are not going to help you. Only a few number of uh, well-trained soldiers can deal with the militants, but there has to be an information. Somebody has
So
to
it's
see
not the
them.
number; it is the information is the key. What you are saying.
Information is the key. Of course, number
And
is
people
also
have to be on
important
your side. So we'll
because
come to Mujtaba Sab to that point also, because on Thursday there was attack. On Friday morning I was reporting from there, and we could see a number of people being rounded up, taken by the army for questioning. In the evening we heard about death of 3 men and injuries to several others. Injured are still in hospital. Why? Normally army doesn't do these things. So what happened? Was it a
ideally,
knee-jerk reaction? Idly, yeah.
I,
What was it a
ideally,
knee-jerk
these people.
reaction? And senior officers were there camping in Rajouri, Poonch that time. And despite their presence, all this happened. And now the army has constituted a court of inquiry. Brigadier has been removed. 3 other officers have also been attached to join the investigation.
I agree with you. I think that is not the standard practice. What happens is that whenever such incident happens, as I have told, that the information has to come to the people. And it can be the people who are suspects also, but they should have been questioned jointly by police and by army, because the casualties were taken by army. Naturally, first-hand information would have been given by them in what exactly happened. Those people, those who survived that attack, and the unit and how the people were sent, that is fine. But at the same time, I think questioning jointly definitely would have avoided such a situation in which such a thing has happened.
But isn't it fact also after April and May attacks, around 200 people were rounded up. And I remember one person, Sayyid Mukhtar Shah, he alleged humiliation and the harassment. And he made a video before committing suicide and appealed people to help army in its fight against militancy. But at the same time, he was talking about how he was humiliated and harassed during the questioning. And that time, that was the police who had actually detained him, not the army. And in fact, army that time also issued a statement. They praised the role of local population in helping army while they were wars or they were this counter militancy operations. But what has going wrong today in these months? Now the army is at the receiving end because they are being accused, or they are actually on a defensive, because in their custody 3 men have died and several others have been injured.
This is basically the mindset. What I am saying is that if a person is questioned jointly, then there will be a pressure of the other person being there. So they would have not done what they did, which is alleged that they did, and there would have been some decency while dealing with such people, and particularly as I believe that most of these people, they were not involved in this at all, because whosoever had done this act had already escaped, and some people were apprehended. This happens operationally, that when an incident takes place, that what you have not seen anything, but yet because of your apprehensions, you act in a manner which is beyond what is required.
So, given your experience in the area, which actually led to the finishing militancy in this area, now the army is actually engaged in one of the longest counter militancy operations since Thursday. They have launched this counter militancy operation, though that has been distracted because of the death of civilians. That became the focus. So, is it operationally correct, when militants attack the army and they go for the searches without having the correct information? For example, that happened last month in November, when there was an information they were inside jungle and five soldiers lost their lives, including three special forces personnel. Two of them were captains as well. So what should army do in such a terrain, in such a treacherous mountains, where you have thick vegetation, forest area? So how will army go ahead, or the security force or police, to deal with militancy where army has said these are battle hardened militants?
देखिए, ये जो इलाका है, ये हमेशा से जो है वो फौज का और पुलिस के बहुत फेवरेबल रहा है, मोस्टली द पॉपुलेशन देयर। मुझे लगता है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हेल्प जो है वो लोकल पॉपुलेशन की लेनी चाहिए टू बिल्ड देयर कॉन्फिडेंस, and
Mhm.
then go for the operation on a specific operation and plan it well, not that
Mhm.
you are led into a trap कि किसी वक्त आपको कभी कभी जो है वो गलत इंफॉर्मेशन भी कोई आके दे देता है, so that you
जी।
go there, you are not well prepared, in a huff you
Mhm.
leave, and then you suffer casualties. That is not way to do the things, because this thing, army people, the commanders, the local commanders know much better than the police officers. Most of these things we have learned over a period of time, even from the army, as you know, from
Mhm.
90s onwards, because we were overwhelmed and the number
Mhm.
of the militants was so much that as a force multiplier, the CRP, BSF, and army was brought for the internal security as well. But over a period of time, we also learned. We learned certain craft, the tactics from them as police officers. But at the same time, it has to be reciprocal. This is what the synergy is. We have also an experience of dealing with the people to extracting the information and passing it on.
Okay.
I think they need to go back on that पैटर्न ऑन दोज टैक्टिक्स, वरना उसके बगैर जो है, अगर आप इंडिपेंडेंटली काम करते रहेंगे, तीनों को जो है वो
Mhm.
मिलके काम करना है। सिनर्जी का मतलब ज्यादातर पे ये कहते थे कि देखिए आर्मी और पुलिस के दरमियान जो सिनर्जी है, मेरे ख्याल में सिनर्जी का मतलब जो है कि आपकी लोकल पॉपुलेशन शुड आल्सो बी ऑन बोर्ड। ये पॉसिबल नहीं है कि कोई आसमान से नहीं उतरता, जमीन से नहीं आता, कि कोई किसी को
जी जी।
दिखेगा नहीं और उसके बारे में
तो आप
इंफॉर्मेशन
कहते
नहीं
हैं कि
देगा।
सिनर्जी सिर्फ सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के दरमियान नहीं होनी चाहिए। सिनर्जी
एग्जैक्टली।
एसेंशियल, उसका मीनिंग है कि आपकी सिनर्जी लोगों के साथ हो, लोग आपके साथ होने चाहिए। दैट इज द रियल सिनर्जी, नॉट जस्ट द सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस आर होल्डिंग अ मीटिंग, ज्वाइंट मीटिंग, आर कंडक्टिंग अ ज्वाइंट ऑपरेशन। दैट अकॉर्डिंग टू यू इज नॉट द रियल सिनर्जी। रियल सिनर्जी according to you is when people are on your side and they
एग्जैक्टली।
help you.
एग्जैक्टली।
So,
एग्जैक्टली।
so the last question, Mushtaba साहब, ये बताएं कि uh, big army is now engaged in this operation all these days, and people are also angry. Defense minister has also reached. Is the you know deploying more troops in the area answer to the problem? What is being talked about
Maybe,
now?
maybe yes and maybe no. Yes, because of the fact, because we have suffered some casualties. To build the confidence of the people and also of the troops, there is requirement that the number of the troops should be increased. But at the same time, why
Okay.
I said no is that you have to have a communication with the people. The intelligence has to come, and intelligence is the human int is the most important in this area, because you are on the very near to the LOC. These are border areas, and here the technical int would not work much, and would not yield much results
Okay.
than the human int.
So, according to a person who has worked in the area as SSP and finished militancy in this area since 2003, is saying you have to take people along. Without that, there's no answer. Technical intelligence is not the answer in such a terrain. In these forests, it is the human end. And majority of the people in this area has all been on the side of the security forces, which army has acknowledged. So the question here is, and also, has army gone wrong when they detained people and three of them died? Here, demography is not your challenge. It is the terrain. And army and the security agencies have to understand that. That is what a former cop who has finished militancy there, made this area peaceful, and militancy returned after more than 18 years. His advice is take people along. Synergy doesn't mean the coordination between the security agencies. Real synergy is with the local people to fight militancy on a day when Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is in the area to review the security situation and send a message to troops: fight terrorism, but don't hurt any civilian. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.